Room 404 plays on the famous computer error not found, which triggers instant curiosity. Have you ever noticed that the moments you feel most miserable are the moments right after you look into a mirror? Not just a glass mirror on your wall, but the digital mirror of social media or the mental mirror of comparing your life to someone else's success. We live in a world obsessed with reflection, yet we wonder why our souls feel so empty. In the winter of 2024, a wealthy behavioral psychologist named Dr. Arthur Vance decided to test a radical theory. He believed that modern human unhappiness is not caused by poverty, stress, or bad luck. Instead, he claimed it was caused by a psychological phenomenon he called the social mirror. To prove his theory, Dr. Vance built a massive underground sanctuary known simply as Room 404. He placed an advertisement in the city's largest newspaper, seeking 5 volunteers. The criteria was simple. They had to be individuals who felt completely broken, deeply depressed, and utterly defeated by life. Over 3,000 people applied. Dr. Vance carefully selected 5. There was Clara, a 30-year-old corporate lawyer who suffered from severe panic attacks because she felt she wasn't climbing the career ladder fast enough. Then came Marcus, a young artist who had stopped painting entirely because his online followers ignored his work. The third was David, a father drowning in debt, constantly consumed by the feeling that he was a failure to his family. Fourth was Evelyn, an elderly woman who felt invisible to society after her husband passed away. And finally, there was Leo, a college student paralyzed by the fear of missing out, spending 16 hours a day scrolling through the seemingly perfect lives of his peers. When the 5 chosen participants arrived at the heavy iron door of Room 404, Dr. Vance met them with a gentle smile. He explained the rules of the experiment. They would live inside this luxurious sanctuary for exactly 30 days. The room was equipped with everything a human being could ever desire. There were gourmet meals prepared by top chefs, soft, ambient music playing through hidden speakers, indoor gardens blooming with vibrant flowers, and beds that felt like clouds. There were no responsibilities, no bills to pay, and no jobs to attend. But there were 3 strict conditions. First, they had to surrender their smartphones, laptops, and all connection to the outside world. Second, they could never leave the facility until the 30 days were up. And third, the most bizarre rule of all, they were forbidden from looking at their own reflections. Room 404 had no mirrors. The bathroom glass was frosted black. The metal surfaces were brushed and matte, completely non-reflective. Even the soup spoons were specially designed to be dull so that no one could catch a glimpse of their own face. The 5 volunteers agreed, stepping through the threshold. The heavy iron door clicked shut behind them. During the first 3 days, the atmosphere inside Room 404 was heavy with withdrawal. Leo's hands twitched, instinctively reaching into his empty pockets for a phone that wasn't there. Clara paced back and forth, her mind racing with phantom emails and imaginary deadlines. Marcus sat in the corner, staring blankly at the wall, wondering if his absence was being noticed by anyone online. But by the 1-week mark, a strange miracle began to unfold. Without the constant buzzing of notifications, Leo's mind grew quiet. He stopped wondering what others were doing and began to notice the taste of his food. Clara's breathing slowed down, Without a watch or a calendar, time lost its cruel grip on her. Most remarkably, because there were no mirrors, they forgot what they looked like to the outside world. Clara stopped worrying about the dark circles under her eyes. Marcus stopped adjusting his hair. They stopped performing for an audience. By the second week, the transformation was undeniable. The 5 participants, who had arrived as broken, anxious ghosts, were now radiantly alive. They sat together in the indoor garden, sharing deep, belly-shaking laughter. They stayed up late, talking about their childhood dreams, their favorite books, and the simple beauty of the present moment. Marcus picked up a paintbrush again, not caring how many likes the painting would get, but simply enjoying the feeling of the brush sliding against the canvas. David smiled, a genuine, deep smile, realizing his worth wasn't tied to his bank account. To anyone watching, Room 404 looked like a magical paradise that healed the human soul. Meanwhile, in the bustling city outside, a young, ambitious investigative journalist named Elena became obsessed with Dr. Vance's experiment. She didn't believe in miracles. She suspected that Dr. Vance was running an illegal operation, perhaps drugging the participants with experimental chemicals to force them into a state of artificial happiness. Determined to uncover the dark truth, Elena used her connections to locate the secret facility. On the night of the 20th day, wearing a black jumpsuit and carrying a hidden camera, she picked the lock of a rear maintenance door and slipped into the facility's control center. The room was dark, illuminated only by a wall of glowing security monitors. Elena crept forward, expecting to see the participants strapped to chairs or trembling in fear. Instead, she gasped. On the screens, she saw 5 people glowing with an intense, peaceful joy. They were dancing, painting, and laughing like children. "They look beautiful, don't they?" A calm voice echoed from the shadows. Elena spun around, terrified. Dr. Vance was sitting in a leather armchair in the corner of the room, calmly sipping a cup of tea. He hadn't called the police. He didn't even look angry. "You're drugging them," Elena accused, her voice trembling but sharp. "No one changes that drastically in 3 weeks. What chemical are you putting in the ventilation system?" Dr. Vance smiled sadly. "The only thing I removed from that room, Elena, was the poison of public opinion. Come, look closer." He pointed to the monitors. "Human beings do not suffer because of who they are. They suffer because of who they think they should be. Every morning, the average person wakes up and looks into a mirror. They inspect their wrinkles, their weight, and their flaws. Then they open their phones and look into a digital mirror, comparing their messy reality to everyone else's polished highlight reel. They spend the entire day wearing a mask, acting out a character to please a world that doesn't care about them." Dr. Vance stood up, walking toward the screens. "In room 404, I took away their masks. Because they cannot see their own reflection, they have stopped judging themselves. And because they cannot see how others judge them, they have stopped pretending. They are not drugged, Elena. They are simply free." Elena listened, her heart pounding. The psychological depth of his words hit her like a tidal wave. She looked at her own reflection in the glass of the monitor, tired, stressed, driven by a desperate need for a breaking story to prove her worth to her editor. She realized she was just like the people inside, but Elena was clumsy. As she pulled her notebook from her jacket to write down Dr. Vance's quote, Her hand knocked against her small cosmetic bag. It slipped from her pocket, falling through an open maintenance hatch in the floor that led directly into the ceiling ventilation of room 404. With a sharp clink, the bag fell through the grate and landed squarely on the wooden floor of the common room below, right in front of the participants. The laughter in the room stopped instantly. All 5 participants stared at the strange object that had fallen from the sky. Leo approached it slowly. He picked up the velvet bag and opened the zipper. Inside was a small, round, compact mirror. "Don't look," Dr. Vance shouted at the monitor, his voice filled with panic, rushing to the microphone, but it was too late. Leo opened the compact. For the first time in 20 days, he saw his own face. Instantly, a shadow fell over his expression. He noticed his messy hair, his pale skin, and the tired lines around his mouth. The heavy weight of his past self-judgment came rushing back like a flood. "What is that?" Clara asked, stepping closer. Leo, paralyzed, handed her the mirror. As Clara looked into the glass, her posture immediately stiffened. She remembered her unfinished work, her missed promotions, and her fear of falling behind. One by one, the mirror passed through the hands of David, Marcus, and Evelyn. The psychological poison was instantaneous. Within 10 minutes, the atmosphere in room 404 changed from a warm paradise into a cold, suffocating prison. The participants stopped talking to each other. They withdrew into their separate corners, suddenly hyper-aware of their clothes, their bodies, and their perceived flaws. The invisible walls of judgment had returned. The paradise was dead. The next morning, the 30-day experiment was officially terminated early. The iron doors opened and the 5 participants walked out into the gray city air. They did not leave as healed individuals. They left as the same anxious, burdened souls who had entered weeks prior. The illusion had been shattered by a single square inch of glass. Elena never wrote the expose to destroy Dr. Vance. Instead, she published an article titled "The Architecture of Our Own Prison." In her final paragraph, which went viral across the globe, she wrote, "We spend our entire lives searching for a paradise like room 404, believing that happiness is a place we must find or a status we must achieve. But the truth is far more terrifying. Paradise is not a place. It is a state of mind that we actively destroy every single day. We destroy it every time we look for our worth in the eyes of a stranger, every time we scroll through a screen to see if we measure up, and every time we let a piece of glass dictate our value." The story of room 404 reminds us of a profound psychological truth. You do not need to fix your life to find peace. You simply need to break the invisible mirrors of comparison that you carry around in your mind. Stop looking at how you appear to the world and start living the life that is happening right in front of you. Because the moment you stop performing for the audience, the play ends and your real life finally begins.